1995. Will Castillo was just 8 when something so tragic had happened. His white cat, named Kathy, had gone missing. Kathy was a blue-eyed female white cat, which, according to numerous studies and statistics, makes her deaf. Will was gifted with a deep well of imagination. This, however, also turned into a curse he couldn't control, at least for a while. For a number of nights, he had lost so much sleep because of all the nightmarish things he couldn't help imagining. What if she didn't hear the cars and she got run over? What if she's hungry right now? Will cried quietly for the first few nights, but after a while he would just stare blankly at the ceiling, thinking of ways he could track down his lost cat. One night, Brent Castillo, his father, saw a note with his son's handwriting. "Give me 3 days. I need to find Kathy." Everything was just as Will imagined it. The feel of the temperature of the night summer air, all the people on the streets. What he didn't anticipate was the fact that he might go on for days without any food. But he was determined not to come home until he found his deaf cat. By the third night, Will was still out in the streets trying to track down his cat. At this point, he had learned the dynamics of the streets, the behavior patterns of each kind of individual out there. Food vendors, rich kids, drug dealers, abandoned kids inhaling adhesive fumes. It was an eye-opening experience. Time was running out, however. All this time outside and he still hadn't found his cat. 2 a.m. on the fourth day was a bit more out of the ordinary. Will noticed a truck that had a strange scent. Inside were dozens of stray cats. It was a truck from the local pound. An idea popped into his head. Kathy might be where they'll be going. So he climbed a tree and quietly landed on top of the truck. The truck itself was a bit suspicious. Why would a city pound truck be doing rounds at 2 in the morning? That, however, was a question that wasn't a priority for Will at the moment. The man grabbing stray cats was violently handling them. It also seemed that he was enjoying the fact that the cats were being hurt as he dragged them forcefully up the back of the truck. Will was furious, and so he fastened his makeshift metal glove to hold on tight to the roof of the truck as he drove off. Will was now inside of the city pound. He can hear different cats and dogs. The smell was also different. He can smell the fear and confusion. But most importantly, he can sense the suffering the animals were going through. This wasn't the usual kind of city pound. The people here were doing experiments on the animals. Will decided to investigate the place further. Going through the underground facility, it seemed that the place was implanting tracking devices of some sort on some of the animals, and explosive devices on others. Most of the animals here were long dead. And then he noticed that across the tables was a white cat, all cut up and lifeless. Anger coursed through Will's veins as he stared upon the lifeless white cat. As the tears ran down his cheeks, the man that was catching the animals grabbed him from behind and started to strangle him. The man whispered in Will's ear that he could kill him right now and throw his body out on Pasig River. This was the real side of the city. All those shows Will saw on TV, those bright, happy themes, those weren't what this city was. There was another side of it, crawling with monsters, killers, corruption, deceitful people that looked like the good guys. The colorful mind of an innocent 8-year-old boy was fading and eventually got lost forever as the sun slowly dawned. This was the most important part of Will's life. Will retracted the claws on his metal glove and dug them deep on the face of the man. He was trying to target some arteries, but the claws were too short. This, however, got him free. The boy stood up. Blood masked most of his face, but his eyes were sharply fixed on his prey. This man who mutilates animals. Will was going to inflict the same amount of suffering on this man. He was going to kill him. Unfazed, the man took out his gun and pointed it straight at Will. But right before the trigger was pulled, a large, caped figure just flew in from the ceiling. It was the Quago. The Quago then took the gun and fired a shot that wasn't fatal, knocking out the gunman. The Quago turned its head and looked at Will. He asked the boy what he was planning to do with the man. After all the commotion, Will was in shock and couldn't respond. The boy tried to speak, but the emotions got the best of him and he ended up crying instead. The Quago took Will's hands, and the two walked towards another room where there were dozens and dozens of other cages. Right at the end of the room was Will's cat, Kathy, her blue eyes staring back at him. Kathy was alive, and Will was so happy, and he hugged his cat. The Quago told Will to always check the entire area when scouting and to always keep his emotions in check. Will felt some sort of familiarity with the Quago's voice and the kind of advice he was giving. As Will turned, the Quago removed his mask, revealing his identity to his son.